20 years on, the investigation into Stuart Lubbock's death has been relaunched, and a Channel 4 documentary has brought the events of that night back into the spotlight.
And Michael Barrymore and his solicitor, James Heath, join us now. Very good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning.
Did you watch the documentary?
Yeah, well, as much as I could watch of it. It was. It started off as a normal documentary, and then it just started to get vile and vicious. And
it was a very one-sided piece. It was just it had a blinkered view, and it's trying to paint various conspiracy theories. And I think the important thing to understand about it, and the way it came about, is 2 years before the documentary started, they actually approached Michael, and they said to him, "Look, we want this to be a celebration of your life. Can you come and meet us?" And so Michael was being the very accommodating chap he is, he went to meet them, and they said to him, "Look, we want to pay you a large fee to make a documentary that's a celebration of your life and your victimization by the press." And from there, Michael went away and sort of got in touch with them and said, look, I'm very sorry. I know you've commissioned this, you've started working on it, but it's not something I want to get involved in.
And then they made a different type of documentary to the one
they
they were.
did,
yeah, well, what happened after that? After I said no, it's not for me, because I said they wanted to make about the culture of the 90s and the press. I said, well, that's another documentary. I think if you're going to do my story justice, including the bad bits, you need to do it properly.
But let's cut to the quick, Michael, on this,
Yeah.
because you know and I know that all it does, that kind of documentary, it just actually keeps the thing back in the headlines.
Yes.
Because ultimately we don't know the answers.
No.
And I've had a lot of sympathy for you over the years about the fact that you've been unable to move on. But I also have a lot of sympathy for the Lubbock family, and in particular Stuart's father, who is obviously completely grief-stricken, still feels that justice has not been done to his son.
Yeah.
Put yourself into his shoes, that father, for a moment. Do you understand why, for him, it remains such a running sore, the injustice?
Yeah, I totally understand, and I've supported it all along. And it's been written also that we haven't met. I've met him 3 times.
Michael's always made himself available.
Well, it was clear in the documentary that you'd spent time with them.
Yeah, well, I probably missed that bit.
And when you meet him, I presume what he wants to know, you've made it very clear that you had nothing to do with the death of Stuart Lubbock.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the question remains, do you have anything to offer the police which could lead to resolving this?
I honestly wish I did. I mean, I would put myself through
With
20
this-
years of hell.
You let Michael say it.
I'll do it. So, I don't know anything. I haven't got another story. I've only got the one story that was the same when I was interviewed at the beginning, in 2006, after I come out of Big Brother. We had all this again, and then I've got no...
But do you believe somebody at that party? Well, how many were there?
No, I don't.
Eight
9 people.
I mean,
I don't
what
believe...
people say to me, Michael, they watch live stories, and I know you got great feedback to that. I know you've had the opposite, obviously, result of feedback from this documentary. But what people say to me is, look, there were a bunch of people here, some of which you knew, some you didn't, who came back to your house, and they're all adults. There's been, obviously, some kind of partying going on. It defies credibility, people say to me, that nobody had any idea how this guy ends up dead in your pool. Do you share that sense of incredulity? Do you believe somebody knows something?
No, I don't believe somebody. Well, I can't speak for them, but from what I know, I don't believe anybody could have, can't see how it could have happened. Because, we're not to get into detail here today. I was asked not to because of the lawyers.
Actually, what I would add to this is, I mean, you've spent the best part of 3 hours in a room with this man.
Yeah.
He answered everything on your excellent life story.
You didn't leave a stone unturned.
Left no stone
And I
unturned.
answered everything.
And when I got involved, which was about 2 weeks before the documentary, Michael sent me a huge stack of papers. I've got them sitting in my office. I've gone through them all, and I mean, I just cannot see how anyone thinks that this has been anything other than a tragic accident.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously your name gets the headlines every time.
Yeah, I mean, they just kicked me in the teeth
Right.
Thomas. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. It's been as honest as I can. I've only got the one story. I don't know anything else. Otherwise, I would have said. I would have said what it is.
What impact has it had on you? Because each time it seems to me you make a step forward again.
Yeah.
Life Stories, I know you were really happy.
The Life Stories
Big
was
Brother.
amazing. It turned it all round.
But now you've had all this negativity again, and Essex Police appear to be once again coming for you. How do you feel about that?
I feel bad about it. It makes me feel rotten because it seems nothing. They're so hell bent on this is how it is, but we can't make it fit.
That's one of the reasons why Michael's calling for a fresh independent police force to look into.
Yeah,
The
it
case,
does need another police force to
essentially.
come in.
It
and
needs Essex to
investigate
hand it over.
You have sympathy with a father.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who needs an
I'm happy to
answer.
see him. I'm happy to talk to the police anytime. My door's open 24/7. I've got nothing to hide. I've never had anything to hide. I've got every right to go out and to be employed and work in the business I work without every time being kicked in the teeth just because I'm back on telly. Well, that 10 years before Piers Monger then, Life Stories and then Dancing on Ice and other stuff I was offered. And it's only because I'm back on again, they all can get together, Channel 4, the police, and then...
Have you yourself, Michael, talked to the other people who were there?
I've never seen them since that day.
All of them?
I wouldn't know if I fell over them.
All of them?
All of them, none of them. Not one, I haven't got a number, nothing.
So you don't know any of these people?
I don't know any of them.
You've never spoken to them?
Not one.
And what strikes me as odd is, has nobody ever tried to approach you who knows any of those people with any information which could be useful?
No, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of adults partying at your house and somebody dies. And what seems extraordinary to me is that your name's been attached to this for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Why has nobody tried to contact, or maybe they had, you can let us know, but has anyone ever tried to contact you and said, look, I know one of these people, and they were saying this? It seems like there's been this weird wall of silence from everybody.
Well, the wall of silence is because they don't know. They genuinely don't know. Why?
And do you believe them?
Yes, I do
Do
believe.
you believe that nobody at the party knew what happened?
I do believe that. I can't see how. I've read because of going against Essex Police for wrongful arrest. I was allowed to see every single witness statement. Everything I say is not because that's what I want you to hear, because that's the story I want to put out there. It's what's in witness. I only quoted from facts, and that's what I've
See,
used.
I would like your torment to be over,
So would I, yeah.
but I'd also like
Yeah, I like him
Mr.
to...
Lubbock's
No, I want Mr.
torment, which is obviously far worse than anybody's.
That comes before me or anybody. It doesn't matter how bad I feel or how awful this is all the time. I can't live my life. And I can't get on with my life.
And this brings it back to calling for a fresh police force, because
Yeah.
Essex Police have been basically going around in a loop for 20 years. It's not helping anyone. It's not.
When you
better
speak to
Michael,
Terry
it's not
Lubbock,
better
what does he say
Stanley.
to you when it's just you?
When we meet, it was like the first time I met him, I said, Terry, you know I've had nothing to do with this. He said, yes, I do. I said, so why do you keep pointing at me every time we...
When you last saw him, what did he say to you? Because he keeps giving
Well,
interviews
the
to
last time
papers.
it was because of the policing. They said, oh, we need to sort the police out. I said, well, let's do that. Let's get another set of police
But
in.
does he still believe that you know something you're not?
Well, he seems to. That's what he keeps saying all the time. And I've told him. I said, I said, why do you keep having a go at me when we part and keep pointing fingers like and everybody else is joining in now and nudging, innuendo, or nudge, wink, wink.
Well, because ultimately,
He
look,
needs answers.
ultimately
from
he lost his son.
Because it doesn't matter how bad it is for me. It's never going to be as bad as it is for Mr. Lubbock and that family. Never. I know that, and I'm aware of that. Why would I hide or keep anything and put myself through this pain and agony every time that this comes up, and just sit like I did for 10 years between 2006 and now, and last year when it all turned around because of doing your show, and we're going over it again, and I answered you everything, and I said then that they come first, and absolutely come first, because I'm still here. Stuart isn't. But, it's not been dealt with properly, and keep it as the same scenario and just repeat it every 5 years that I turn up on television, or 10 years, it's getting no one nowhere fast, and it needs to stop and reset and go again. And I don't care how many times they interview me.
So to clarify, you would like a completely independent police investigation?
Yes, that's
well
right.
away from the Essex
Well, a
Police
separate
Force.
Well away,
police
not
force.
the local next borough, the next area, please. Well away, so completely separate.
And as the lawyer, do you think that is achievable?
I think it is. It needs Essex Police to hand over the case, essentially. But their main problem is they're so focused on getting a certain result, they put themselves under enormous pressure to get a certain result, and the evidence just doesn't back it up. So they're sort of still having this very blinkered view of the case.
Well, there's never been any evidence to convict Michael of any crime here, and yet the presumption by many people in the public each time this rolls out is that he must have been guilty of something.
Yeah, that's that amount of public, and there's also the only reason. Sorry, I don't want this. The only reason I've got through the last 19 years, coming up 20 years, is the support, from massive support out there, from fans and my close mates, and my fans and my mates. We've had this relationship for years. They grew up with me, and they know me, and they know I'm not a wronger, right? And they, through their support, not all the ones from Twitter Street, who've come up with whatever, the pound shop detectives who take a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's a celeb, let's give him another kicking. And how many times am I supposed to be kicked? How many times am I supposed to take it? And I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking. I've been through it. I'm a big boy, and I've got every right. I'm going to hold my head up and walk out on the street high because I am entitled to it, and it's my right to. And at the same time, of course, anything to do with the Lubbock family is paramount and over.
If you were Terry Lubbock, Michael, knowing you've read everything about this case, you've read about the injuries that Stuart sustained, do you believe, fundamentally, if you were Terry Lubbock, would you think your son had died accidentally? Or would you share his view that there was something more to it, given everything that you've read about this case? If you were him, if you were the father?
Honestly, based on what is there and the evidence, I would have to go down the line of it's not what he thinks.
And obviously it's hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes, but from what I've seen, it just doesn't add up to that sort of case.
Listen, we've got to leave it there. It's I'm sorry, Michael, that we keep, each time we have a positive interview, it's followed by another one like this. This won't go away, and I'm not quite sure how it does.
You took part in Dancing on Ice.
Yeah.
Of course, but then withdrew. You were injured.
Yeah.
Some people were concerned that you actually withdrew because the documentary was coming
You know
up.
what? This is where it's all got completely out of hand, and it's just the same in line with the thinking of the main case. The journalist who put that in the paper, I suggest he goes down to Hemel Hempstead A&E, goes and sees a nurse that actually took me in, x-rayed, and told me I'd broken my wrist.
You provided your x-rays in order to prove that you're genuinely
injured. That is my hand,
injured.
by the way. I know nobody can touch it from now on, but it is my hand.
So genuinely injured, and you would have carried on Dancing on Ice if you could.
I mean,
the problem is, at the moment, you just have an ongoing trial by Twitter. That's the problem.
Trial by media.
And trial by media, but also by social media, and it's often ill-informed. People haven't seen the stuff. The bottom line remains you've not been convicted of any offence over what happened, but you're not able to move on with your life, and nor is Terry Lubbock. And as you rightly say, his situation is infinitely worse. And I wish I could find some peace for him, some answers for him, and some.
So that's what I want. Why don't we sit down together and instead of this constant, I know you, yes you are, no you are, no, and deal with it properly as grown-ups. And he knows. He said, I know you don't know what to do, but I said, so why do you keep having a go at me? Well, how else am I going to get publicity? And I get it, because when you're that angry and upset.
He's not here to speak for himself.
I know. If that's hearsay, I'll take it back, but that's all I know.
Channel 4 have told this show that the documentary was balanced and explored Mr. Barrymore and the Lubbock family's treatment by the press. In accordance with the Ofcom Broadcasting Code, Mr. Barrymore was given a fair opportunity to respond to significant allegations, and his position was fairly reflected in the documentary.
Well, Essex Police told us Stuart Lubbock was a young father, a much-loved son who remains at the heart of the case. His family want answers, and we will continue to do all we can to bring those responsible to justice. On 31st of March 2001, 9 people attended a party at Michael Barrymore's house. One of them, Stuart, ended up being violently sexually assaulted at that party. Someone at the party was responsible for what happened. Someone knows what happened. Other people arrived at the scene in the hours after Stuart's death. Individuals at the party might have told others what happened. We would urge people who do have information to come forward. 19 years is a long time. Loyalties change. It's never too late to do the right thing. Well, there we have it. lots of differing views, obviously, but at the heart of it, a very
Tragic case.
desperate tragedy. Lots of us are coming. You're watching Good Morning Britain.